videos. You may have even seen them live and in person.
Right now! Go! No! No! Down!
With bear sightings soaring, what do you do if you come face to face with one?
We'd raise up our arms, we'd stay together, we'd say, "Hey bear, hey bear."
Why are they getting so bold?
Somehow, me and the bear tangled, but I don't know how. I think he hit me 4 or 5 times with his claws.
We went looking for answers, getting up close and personal with bears. Now, an Eyewitness News special presentation, Bears in Connecticut.
I'm Eyewitness News reporter Patricia Del Rio, and thank you for tuning into Bears in Connecticut, a half-hour special that looks into all things black bears that live in our state. It is a hot topic as we see more and more of them, but how many are there? Where do they live? What do they eat? And what do you do if you encounter one? Over the next 30 minutes, we will delve into all of those questions and more.
Oh, wow. Look at him. He's standing up.
Black bears in our pools, on our trampolines, and on our decks. Social media is filled with Connecticut bear videos, and if you think you're seeing more bears than ever, you would be right. Department of Energy and Environmental Protection bear biologist Jason Hawley says their numbers in the Nutmeg State have exploded in the past 2 decades.
20 years ago, our population estimate was about 250 bears.
And now the numbers are 4 or 5 times that.
I would estimate somewhere between 1,000 and 1,300.
Hawley and his team are able to track the bear population primarily through tagging. Eyewitness News accompanied Deep years ago as they visited bear dens during springtime. This is when the 2-month-old cubs and their mom are still hibernating. The methods used then are the same today.
She's a pretty young bear, we think. We just captured her this past summer.
They may look like hunters, but they're state bear biologists, giving us a rare behind-the-scenes look at how they collect information about the bears. They mix a sedative that will make the mama bear groggy, but not completely unconscious. Once sedated, they run tests on her and keep her cubs warm while mom gets examined.
She's licking a little bit, and she's got some reaction in her eyes. So that's, she's not fully under the drugs.
The bears are weighed
225.
and smeared with Vicks Vapor Rub to mask our human scent. They're returned to their den exactly as it's found, and they return to nestling with mom.
Sometimes, they do this, and we just gotta tuck them back in there.
Biologists are led to the bears with these collars. It's the female bears who are collared because the head and neck of the male bears are too big to fit them.
This is a GPS radio collar that we have on. We probably have about 30 bears radio collared in Connecticut.
A receiver then picks up transmissions from the collars.
This antenna is pointed at that collar, and it's picking up that collar's beep. And each collar has a different frequency, so each bear has a different frequency.
Bears at a greater distance can be tranquilized with a dart gun, shown here using a plastic target bear. Another way to tag bears is with this tube-like device. It captures the bear using food as bait.
Primarily, we're using donuts in there. Bears are, they have a very strong sense of smell, so anything sweet, that's what brings them to the trap. And when they pull, it releases the trigger.
The bears are then tranquilized using a jab stick.
We push and inject the drug into the bear. It's not very traumatic for the bear. Very often they don't even notice that it happened.
So where do bears live anyway? Where are their dens? Did you know that this oak tree would make a perfect den inside for a mama bear and her cubs?
There are just potential dens all over the place.
Wildlife biologist Dave Wattles says we may grow up thinking of bears living in caves, but hibernation dens can be many things, even under the decks of houses. Still, bears usually use things found in nature.
So a brush pile like this, if it was a little larger and they can get in underneath that, that could be a place where they could den.
Even a hollow area in an oak tree.
The bear could dig underneath here and dig off all the dirt. And then that inside of that tree provides a great place. and it's nice and warm. It's protected from the elements all winter.
And when bears hibernate, they are not actually fast asleep for the winter.
In reality, they're sleeping in the den. They wake up, they shift positions. For the female who gives birth to the cubs in the den, she's nursing them regularly, so she's quite active in there. Denning is actually a mechanism to cope with the lack of food in winter in the Northeast, because bears are primarily vegetarians, so there's not a lot of food available to them. But bird feeders, unfortunately, provide a reliable source of food all winter. So some bears will emerge from a den, go feed at a bird feeder, maybe go back in, and keep coming out and back and forth.
So our bird feeders and trash cans are breaking their natural cycle of sleeping as they should be?
Yep. Every winter we're getting these reports.
The bear population continues to grow in Connecticut, and so do the bears. This bear is from 1991, and this bear is more recent. You can see it's much larger, and there's a reason for that.
This bear was hit by a car in 1991. He's about 150 pounds. He was eating primarily natural foods out in the woods, acorns, berries. This guy here, he died about 5 years ago, much larger, about 400 pounds. He was probably eating primarily human foods.
In Connecticut, adult male bears normally weigh 250 to 550 pounds, females about 150 to 300 pounds, and adults are about 5 to 6 feet long. This time of year, bears are trying to fatten up before they hibernate for winter. They can spend 20 hours a day foraging for nuts and seeds in a race against the clock. But one meal at a bird feeder or trash can substitutes for a day's worth of scrounging for food, making them an easy target and bringing bears a little too close for comfort.
Hello, sir. Excuse me, sir. Can I have my grill?
Barbecue grill drippings will also attract a bear to a home. In some rare cases, they'll even come on in, open the freezer, and grab a lasagna, as captured recently by a Ring doorbell at a home in Barkhamsted. But bears becoming this bold and this comfortable around humans can be a very dangerous thing. We will explore that after the break.
It was a July 1st, Saturday, and I was sitting on the porch. Cooper was out with me, and the other dog was in the house. And all of a sudden, Cooper just got up and ran around the house, and I ran through the garage and out the back door, and I heard screaming, and I just kept running down to where the screaming was, and the bear was on top of Cooper. Dave Monsheen has the scars and scrapes to prove he went nose to nose with a bear this past summer after his dog Cooper and a bear got into a tussle in the backyard of his home in Litchfield. The next thing I know, the bear and I are kind of face to face. I don't know how I got the bear off. I have no clue. And Cooper got away. And then somehow me and the bear tangled. I think he hit me 4 or 5 times with his claws. He broke my hand. I had a puncture wound in my chest of about 1.5 inches deep. 4-year-old Cooper also receiving cuts and stitches. Turns out it was a mama bear likely protecting her cubs. She ran away after the encounter.
And then whatever happened to the bear?
No idea. Hasn't been back that I've seen.
Despite the ordeal, Dave says he likes bears and wouldn't want to see anything happen to a bear like that.
We've lived here for 25 years and pretty much been in, no problems with the bears. We know they're there. We've seen them, and this was the first incident we've ever had, and it was because of Cooper, protecting his property.
Bear and human interactions are becoming increasingly more frequent, and according to DEEP, the number of bears entering homes in Connecticut continues to rise. In 2023, there have been at least 2 dozen. In 2022, there were a record-setting 67 home entries, and this year there have been several bear attacks. As of October 1st, there's now a law in Connecticut banning the feeding of bears. The town of Simsbury prohibits using bird feeders from April through November. Deep bear biologist Jason Hawley says bird feeders can attract bears and potentially lead to danger.
You're reinforcing that behavior. Humans equal food. A bear's been getting food at a place regularly, then they show up one day and that food's not there. Well, they might tend to get a little aggressive. There's no bird feeders outside. Oh, well, I smell something good coming from that house, so I'm just gonna go smash this window in, climb into the house, and I'm sure there's plenty of good food in there.
Bears are also often led to homes because of the smell of food in trash cans. One of the ways to try to lessen the possibility of bear and human interaction is with the use of bear-resistant trash cans. They have locking mechanisms that are easy for people to unlatch, but bears can't do it, not even with their teeth or claws. The town of Warren's first selectman, Gregory LaCava, says they've been using them for the past couple of years, and it's made a big difference.
In my first year, I was getting a call a week about bears doing this, bears doing that. Over the last year, it's decreased quite a bit. I don't get as many calls.
There are a handful of towns in Connecticut using these carts, all with great success. They rent for about $10 a month.
But what happens if you're hiking in the woods or just in your backyard and you encounter a bear? Do you get big and loud or pretend like you're asleep?
The answer next.
As the bear population in Connecticut continually increases, the greater the chance you might encounter one. But what should you do if a bear gets a little too close for comfort? Experts say knowing the right course of action could very well save your life.
It's heart-stopping video of a man in West Virginia opening up a dumpster only to come face to face with a large black bear before it jumps out and runs away. The dramatic video leaves many of us wondering what we would do if a bear got so close to us.
Go away.
Go! Get on, bear! Go!
We asked Connecticut deep wildlife biologist Kyle Testerman what is the best course of action. He showed us using a plastic black bear as an example.
Most of the time, these bear encounters are going to go, the most common way is that bear is just going to see you and it's going to run off. It's a good idea to make sure that the bear is aware of you, so you might want to call out and say something like, "Hey, bear!" Doing that might just be enough to alert it to your presence, and it's going to try to avoid the area.
So by lifting my arms up, I'm looking bigger, scarier?
Yep, we're trying to look big and we're staying together. We're not separating. We're looking like one big team here. If you have children with you, you'd want to pick them up.
A perfect example of this is in this video from Canada taken just this past week when a black bear comes dangerously close to a 7-year-old boy on a scooter. The child stares the bear down and stops it in its tracks. Suddenly, a neighbor rushes in and uses wide arms, acting big and loud, and scares the bear away. Testerman says sometimes the bear's body language will tell you what the bear might be thinking.
Most of the interactions, if that bear, it's going to see you, it's going to run away. If it makes any sort of noises, it might huff, it might pop its jaws, it might swat the ground. Those are all signals that the bear's uncomfortable with you being so close to it. And it's looking for an opportunity for itself to run away. Maybe there's more trees around or it has cubs nearby, and it's saying, "Please leave me alone, please give me some more space."
But what if the bear doesn't run away?
In this situation, you might want to have other noise-making devices. So you want to yell louder, you want to blow a whistle. Now keep raising up your hands, blow that whistle, be something really uncomfortable, make it uncomfortable for that bear to be around you.
You're doing the opposite of playing dead.
Right.
Playing dead is not what you want to do.
Definitely don't want to play dead. There's no reason to play dead. You want to stay aggressive. You know, you can slowly back away.
Now, when you say back away, with some animals, you don't want to turn your back to them.
Right.
Is a bear one of those?
A bear's one of those animals you don't want to turn your back and you don't want to run. We don't want to appear like prey. And turning our back and running away and being small is one way to almost to kind of trigger a prey chase response.
And if the bear gets right up close to you?
If a bear is really displaying kind of very rare predatory behavior, is to be really aggressive. And that's to, if you have bear spray, if you carry bear spray with you, you don't just want to spray it around. You'd pop the safety off. I won't do it, and spray down at an angle as the bear's coming in close to you.
Would typical pepper spray or mace work? Is there actual bear spray that only works?
So normal personal self-defense spray is meant to be at close contact. It sprays a stream and you direct it at the attacker's eyes. This, you want to create a big cloud that the bear has to come through in order to get to you.
Testerman says it is very rare for a bear to be physically aggressive with a human, but if it is, be prepared to fight.
If a bear is getting that close to you still, if you didn't have bear spray on, you didn't have any other means, you want to fight back. You want to, again, show it that you're not something that should be viewed as prey. Find sticks, find rocks, throw them at it, hit them with it, fight back, kick it. If you're in that kind of a situation, you're never going to play dead. You're going to fight back and drive it away.
Testerman says bears are not by nature very interested in dogs, but a lot of human encounters happen because dogs will chase bears.
Right now! Go! No! No! Down!
At home, you have more tools at your disposal. You might have a bigger air horn. You can have pots and pans, make noise, do things to scare them away.
As more and more bear and human interactions occur, some of them people actually getting hurt, the question continues to arise whether to hunt or not. We'll talk to people on both sides of the argument next. It is a question that has been batted around in Connecticut for decades, whether to have a bear hunting season. And each side of the argument will tell you why they're right.
Myself, as a bear biologist, I love bears. I've dedicated my career to working with bears. I guarantee I love bears and care more about bears than the majority of the people in this state. But for me, I don't focus on the individual, right? It's not about saving the individual bear. I love the population. I love the species, and my job is to ensure that we have a healthy bear population in this state for my kids, my grandkids, and great-grandkids.
Jason Hawley is the leading bear biologist with Connecticut's Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. He says you can love bears, but still understand that a seasonal hunt is necessary to protect the bear population and people. 20 years ago, there were about 250 bears in the state, now about 1,300. And with that comes numerous home break-ins and even several bear attacks. Hawley says hunting teaches bears to have a healthy fear of humans.
Bears are experiential learners, so they learn, a majority of what they know by the time they're a year and a half from their mother. Their mother might be 15 years old, so she's been around. They're smart animals. They learn it's not safe to be near humans.
But animal rights advocates like Scott Smith of the group Friends of Animals sees things differently.
Deep says they want to kill a mama bear or allow hunters to kill a mama bear so that she can teach her cubs to avoid humans. Well, what you're going to get is a dead mama bear and 2 orphan cubs who don't know how to live in the wild.
Smith also says Connecticut is good bear country and that there's plenty of room for the bear population to triple in size.
We believe that the carrying capacity for the state is somewhere around 3,000 bears, and right now we don't really know, but there's probably 1,000 bears, and we feel like there's plenty of space in Connecticut for bears to live wild and people to remain safe.
It's not like the bear population is going to get wiped out. We would manage it so the population would still be increasing, just not increasing as rapidly.
Is there a state that has similar topography and similar number of bears that is doing things better than you think we are here?
Massachusetts is a good example.
So we headed to Massachusetts to meet with Dave Wattles, black bear biologist with the Massachusetts Division of Fisheries and Wildlife.
In Massachusetts, we probably have on average 3 to 5 attempted home entries per year, whereas I know for the past 5 years or so, Connecticut's been having 30, 50, 60, 70 home entries by bears. It's a staggering difference, and really across the region, New Hampshire, Vermont, places where you have very high densities of bears don't have anywhere near the level of conflict that Connecticut has. So having a hunting season can potentially mitigate some of those serious forms of conflict that you're experiencing in Connecticut.
Wattles goes on to say that Connecticut bears without healthy fear of humans sometimes end up being Massachusetts nuisance bears.
We do get reports of bears tagged in Connecticut and Massachusetts, and we have seen over the years that some of those bears can be nuisance bears. Most of our home entry issues end up being down along the Connecticut border in the southern Berkshires.
Connecticut Deep's Hawley says part of the reason many people in our state have been averse to hunting is because they are not experiencing bears yet.
In Connecticut, bears are still just kind of in western and northwestern Connecticut, so you don't have a majority of people saying, hey, we need to do something about this. I would say a majority of people in Connecticut aren't dealing with that yet, but they will be. It's only a matter of time.
With bear sightings in all 169 cities and towns and bears pushing east of the Connecticut River, they are coming, and Hawley says it's important to do something before public sentiment changes.
People are calling in, they're like, hey, we've had enough. I can't even let my kids play in my backyard. because these bears aren't afraid of us. I feel like a prisoner in my own house. This is enough. We need to do something.
The one thing both sides agree upon is the more we can educate ourselves about bears, the safer it is for bears and humans to live amongst each other. For Eyewitness News, I'm Patricia Del Rio. Thanks for watching.